Hello everyone, welcome to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at The Story of More, Part 3, Food and Energy, and Chapter 11, Moving Around. So this chapter really just looks at transportation, and it starts with airplanes. Airplanes are becoming more and more popular in our modern day and era, and airplanes are one of the most fuel inefficient methods of transportation. Cars are pretty bad, um, buses are pretty bad, trains are okay, but airplanes, oh man, they're just dumping fuel out, and for good reason as they're flying through the air. And so over the last few years, more and more people have started using airplanes, which has caused more and more waste, just to save a little time. Not only that, but trains, which are one of the more efficient ways, are becoming less and less. And this is true all over the world. And the author gives a really interesting example. Japan has some really fantastic public transportation and train systems. They even have these really great bullet trains. But to take a bullet train, and I can't remember the exact cities, but like from Tokyo to a far place, that bullet train takes, let's say, 3 hours. But you could also fly there and it takes 2 hours. So even though that train is so much more efficient, more people are taking the plane to travel and save the hour than to just take that train and to add the hour. So we're using trains less, they're becoming less, they're getting less resources or government energy or money, and we're just using them less. And that brings the author to cars, which she hates. Now, the author really hates cars, and she gives several reasons for that. Mostly being a lot of people have had bad cars in her life, and certainly doesn't sound like she's owned very good cars either. But she also says they're really dangerous. They're death machines, she calls them. And she talks about how, people die all the time with cars. But of course, she also rolls it into fuel, to gas, to energy, and how cars consume a lot of the fuel that we use to go from point A to point B. She talks about how America kind of converted over to cars, in the early 1920s kind of era, or before then a little bit, where people were used to horses, and they thought, oh, cars will never take off. But when the Model T came out, people started to change their ideas, and then infrastructure started to be built around helping people get fuel towards their cars. And finally, it ends up being where as cars continue to take off, our dependence on fuels became higher, but then our dependence on fuels became lower as we got more efficient, but then the amount of cars that we used got more. And so even though we got more efficient with our cars, they ended up getting bigger, and so it ended up becoming the same because we keep choosing more. All right, let's look at some vocabulary words. The first one is chaotic, or it comes from Don Quixote. So chaotic, meaning idealistic, romantic in our mindset of the ideal. And so our quest to become more efficient in using cars, finding the perfect way to drive a car, is too ideal, almost foolish in a way. Traversing means traveling. Outpace means to overcome. Pace is the speed at which you walk or move. So outpace means to go faster. And that leads us to our discussion question. Could you live without a car? okay, maybe buses, maybe trains, maybe even taxis, things like that. Okay, we can accept that. But how about a personal car for your family? Do you think you guys could survive without a car? And of course, please make your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.